welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today we are going to be talking about the #1 algae assassin for your aquarium, and that is the bristlenose pleco. An amazing fish that does not get enough credit, and we're going to talk a little bit today about this particular fish and the health and benefits that this has for every freshwater aquarium owner that is out there. The first thing I want to talk about with the bristlenose pleco is #1, it's not the most attractive fish in the world, but that's not its purpose. Its purpose is to take care of something that we all fight constantly and absolutely drives us crazy, and that's algae. Algae is the #1 reason why people get out of this hobby, because they can't control it. Now, I have almost 40 tanks. And in every one of those 40 tanks, I keep bristlenose plecos. They come in a variety of colors, a variety of sizes, and there's something really for everyone. In fact, the pleco family, there are multiple colors and beautiful ones that aren't such great algae eaters as the bristlenose, but there really are some really beautiful ones out there, such as the gold nugget, yellow, I'm trying to remember, it's called the yellow sunshine, I believe. There's just so many varieties of plecos out there that, like I said, there's something for everyone. But the bristlenose pleco is the most important asset to any aquarium as far as keeping your aquarium clean. Now, the first thing I want to tell you is this is a fish that you can contain if you buy the right kind. It's something that you want to do a little bit of research on before you jump into it, but if you do, you're going to pick the right one, and that would be typically the albino versions of this. They don't get very big. They typically get maybe 3 to 4 inches long. Larger ones with the more fancy tails, they've been doing a lot of breeding on these, so there's some more fancier ones out there. They can get a little bit larger, but they certainly are a fish that you absolutely should consider for your aquarium. Now, again, like I said, not the most attractive, but very efficient at eating algae, biofilm, and lots of other scraps of food that maybe other fish are missing in your tank. They're actually better, I think, than corydoras at going around and cleaning up the bottom of the tank. Now, there's a lot of information out there about autosynclus and plecos, which one is the better fish. And to me, it comes down to not which one is the better fish, which one is the more efficient, and which one is the most likely to be healthy and stay alive in your tank. I have seen people buy autosynclus, buy the bags full, and throw them in a maybe 120-gallon tank and lose half of them within 5 to 6 months because there's just not enough algae in the tank to keep them going. You have to subsidize their diet, and that means algae wafers and stuff like that. With the bristlenose pleco, you don't have to do that. Now, I recommend some things, but I will get into that later in the video. This isn't going to be a long video, I promise. I'm going to make this as short as I can. But in the world of the bristlenose pleco, their favorite place to not only hide, but to eat from is wood. So if you've got a piece of wood, for example, like you see in this particular tank here, which is just a long piece of what they call grape wood, there is a lot of growth on that wood of a biofilm that is just natural to any piece of wood. And this is why the plecos do so well. #1, they hide. They're not something that you see in your tank all the time until they get comfortable. Once they get comfortable in your tank, you'll see a lot more of them. But for the most part, they're not a fish that is out in the open and constantly being seen. They're scavenging really constantly all the way through your tank, and they're really, really working their butts off to make sure that your tank is clean. Now, this is a food source for them. Now, I'll tell you a quick story why I like these fish so much. When I first started in the aquarium hobby, I was having problems with that new brown algae, diatom algae, that grows in every tank that you're cycling and kind of takes over the tank before the tank gets a chance to do a full cycle, and it just looks terrible and it's messy and you're constantly having to clean it. I have found that during the cycle, if you add a couple of these in, maybe one or two to a tank, they can not only keep that diatom algae down, but they can also take wood like this, which gets a natural biofilm on it because of the starch and sugar in it, and it can be really, really ugly. It can be something that you just have a hard time looking at. And you can get in there with a toothbrush if you want and scrape it and suck it up doing a water change or something like that. But if you get a couple of these bristlenose plecos, they'll just take care of the job for you because they absolutely love that stuff. Now it looks like a jelly and it looks kind of hairy in some types of wood. It just depends on what the kind of wood. The softer the wood, the more of that biofilm you're going to see. The harder the wood, the less of it you're going to see. But having a piece of wood in your aquarium is absolutely essential to keep these fish healthy. If you have an aquarium that is just rocks and plants and substrate, they're not going to survive. They're not going to do very well. They have to have a good solid piece of wood in there that they can continuously feed off from. They'll actually take the surface of a piece of wood and eat parts of it as their diet. So it's very important that wood is part of that aquarium. If you don't have that in there, then don't bother with anything that I'm saying here, to be honest with you. But I had a situation where I had this piece of wood right here, and I couldn't boil the whole thing because that's what really gets rid of that starch and that sugar, is if you boil it for 1 to 2 hours, you can pretty much eliminate the stuff. It'll come to the surface, it'll go out, you dump it out, and you'll see maybe a little of that on there, but it's very normal. It doesn't hurt anything. It's not toxic to your fish. It's basically in the fungus family, but if you throw a couple of bristlenose plecos in there, you don't have to do any of that. You can throw them in and they will eat that stuff like it's candy. And they absolutely do a fantastic job of just cleaning up your tank. Now, bristlenose plecos are not expensive. They're something that you can find in pretty much any store, big box stores such as Petco, PetSmart, mom and pop stores. And like I said, they come in so many different varieties, but we're specifically talking about the bristlenose pleco. They're not all albino. There's some albino ones out there that are, like I said, they're not the most beautiful fish in the world, but they are essential. And then they have some that they've really been creative with that have blue eyes that are kind of a whitish, creamy color with blue eyes. They have spotted ones. They have gray patchy ones. But the important thing is not the beauty of the fish itself, but how well the fish does to keep your aquarium clean and keep your work down. And isn't that what we're all looking for, is something that is going to maintain our aquariums without giving us a lot of problems. Now, you're going to see some videos up here that I'm posting as I'm talking here of ones that are in my tank, and you're going to see different varieties of them because I have a lot of tanks, as I said, and a lot of those tanks have different varieties in them, but they're all the bristlenose type. Now, does it matter whether they're male or female? No, it doesn't. People think that the male is the only one because it has the bristles on the front of its face. The females do not. They think that because of the bristles, they're the ones that actually get the job done of cleaning the tank. I have found that male or female, it does not matter. Both do an absolutely amazing job of getting your tank absolutely clean and keeping it that way. They'll do the same with plants. If you look at the plants in here, some of these plants are plants that I have taken from other tanks. Some are new, but if I were to go around to all the different tanks in my gallery, not one of my tanks has a problem with algae being built up all over the leaves of the tank, discoloring them and whatever. The leaves look brand new because these guys are efficient. They come out at night mostly and they scavenge the tank, and they'll go over those leaves if they're looking for any kind of food, and they will just scoop up any kind of biofilm or algae that is starting to grow on your plants and rocks and the wood, of course, which I said is the most important thing for them because they need that wood in order to have a balanced diet. Now, one of the things that I would tell you is don't overdo it with putting these in your tank. Now, this is a 65 gallon, so I've got 2 in here, and I wouldn't recommend any more than 3. I have 2. I was thinking about getting another one because I saw one that was kind of a cool looking bristlenose that I'd never seen before. But like I said, don't overdo it because there's not going to be enough algae, biofilm, or whatever to go around to sustain a good diet for these fish. So you're going to have to substitute what their natural food in the tank is with either wafers, which they sell. Hikari makes some wafers that are for bottom feeders, such as Plecos, Siamese algae eaters, and also Corridoras will also eat these same wafers. But I like to think that if you keep a well-balanced tank, you don't have to do that. I don't go around throwing in those kind of wafers and stuff like that because I just think it's something that if you've got a good balanced tank and your tank is healthy and you don't overdo it with the bristlenose, then you're probably going to have a situation where everybody's getting enough food and no one's going to starve to death. I have seen bristlenose wither away because the tank was just too clean and they were not able to find enough nutrition to really keep them going. Now, that's not to say that they won't eat some of the scraps and food that end up in your tank, but I don't believe in overfeeding on fish, so I don't leave a lot of scraps and food at the bottom of the tank. I hope this information was helpful to you. Leave your comments down below. Give me a like on this one. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. Leave your comments down below. And last and most important, share this with your friends that are in the hobby. This is, like I said, a fantastic essential fish for your aquarium. You're going to love them if you don't already have them. And you're going to find that there's so much less work of keeping your tank clean by just having these fish as a part of your cleanup crew. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you on the next one. Take care, and we will see you on the next one.